Well, this is something that I never ever thought that I ever considered doing again. But hey, everybody, Corium here. So, yeah, this is, I guess, supposedly the video that I kind of sort of planned for you guys. I did. Okay, so earlier this month, I said I will talk about the Lo-Fi Vision 2026 at some point. However, I do apologize if this video has, like, really taken a long delay. Again, unfortunately, due to my circumstances, as me go finding work to do as well as other things that's compounded to be this one really big issue, it took a toll on me and pretty much prevented me from doing like larger scale things where I talk about stuff. So again, I had to resort to smaller stuff like the content I might normally do. But however, as April is wrapping up and we're slowly getting to summer, I guess there are some things I have to talk about. So the level five vision. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really surprised at what went down and especially how the yokaiwatch community took it. Because again, if you took a look at the yokaiwatch community, especially on Twitter when the vision was up, I believe it was 2 weeks ago from now, it wasn't that positively received, and which is understandable considering the fact that again we didn't even get anything yokai watch. And considering that even then the only yokai watch thing we even got was supposedly AI generated, because again the whole the TLDR was we're supposed to get a new concept for yokai watch 5 supposedly. However, it got canned into another Puni game or a Puni event, which I don't think they haven't done yet. I think it was only just a teaser because I believe the event after that was the AI event where the pretty much level 5 was pretty much powering the fact that we were pretty much reliant on generative AI, which again a lot of people are disapproving of, and rightfully so, because again you have a right to be disappointed about what's pretty much just going on, but still it's kind of fun, and I do think that the new designs for the Jibani and Komasan along the Roboyan, I do think Roboyan might be a bit over designed, but yeah, the designs were pretty much cool on the other hand. But still, I can't feel like watching the vision. There are a lot of like really offhand things and lots of questionable stuff. Like, for example, listen, as much as okay, look, I'm just gonna say here, I'm a huge Buster 2 guy. Again, I know that Yokawa's Buster 2 is like the, you know, one of the worst games in the series, but I do like Treasure Exploration. As someone who likes the Mystery Dungeon series, Buster 2 kind of sort of appealed to me as this more single player, more than the regular Blasters mode, which got its own side game from Yokai Watch 2. And as much as I'm a huge Busty T guy, I'm down for Snack World, which also reminds me of Busty T. As much as a huge Snack World guy, I'm gonna ask, like, do we really need another Snack World game? And supposedly this was supposed for like the next gen consoles. Like, I get it, but like again, you could already play Snack World Gold on your Switch. Again, it got localized, so I don't know what they're pretty much gonna do with like Switch 2 edition. Maybe extra content that's lot be- behind the Switch 2 edition. Again, I know that releases of game often get extra content, but I don't think this is like a game that is probably gonna get like content. Maybe it may get something, but again, I don't know. But that was like the only game I was kind of really interested in, to be honest, because the other games were just laden, which took a whole chunk of the direct and was the last thing shown, and most of it was okay. Like, well, let's be honest here, the vision was pretty much just an Inazuma Glacier stream. Again, makes sense because again, Inazuma 11 Victory is the current game in the Inazuma series. So of course, that game will pretty much got most of the attention if releases. They even made the Switch 2, and they actually showed us a few things about the game. Granted, it looked a bit rough because again, people found out that generative AI was pretty much used for the whole thing. I think even like a good chunk of the whole vision was AI generated. Like, it was pretty much blatantly bad to the point where you could pretty much see that yeah, they didn't even try with this vision at all. So it was like it was just even so hard to even like sit through the whole vision at points. I just want to say that I watched Lonely Fubuki stream again. I didn't like have anyone at the time to look it up. So I was watching Lonely Fubuki stream at that time, and I couldn't help but people were like saying, "Oh, Jenna, Jenna." I was like, I was confused at the time because again I didn't know what was going on. But I went ahead and rewatched the whole thing. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is inexcusable." Like, which again, which is why people are mad about the yokai event, especially for the new yokai that came with the new feudal Japan event. Like that yokai who reminds me of yokai Nekomata from Forever Friends. He looks cool, especially with the design that they give for him. But like the fact they had to introduce him with such a rather controversial event and for pruning no less, which is by far the only way you're pretty much getting content for this game because again, this game has been pretty much dormant since like early 2020, which is really, really sad. Like the fact that the series used to be on top of the world and now it's just been reduced to this like corporate husk of its former shelf is just it's just honestly sad. But again, one thing I do want to also bring up is the fact that again, I know a lot of people are kind of mad, especially about the Yokai stuff, because again, the thing like Yokai fans is that Yokai fans normally pretend that oh we don't get anything, and then we always have to be mad because again about like the whole us getting anything. I'm just gonna be blunt to your review. I gave up a long time ago about your couch for getting anything in the West. Like I was pretty much one of those people who was like, yeah, we're not really getting anything. And it would be even lucky if it was not supposed to get something. Again, you call me pessimistic if you like about the whole deal, but I was pretty much just one of those people who are like, yeah, I don't really think we're getting anything. Considering the fact that again they've been pretty dormant about this time about the whole franchise to the point where even if you got something, it will probably not be looked in the same light as the other things that we got because again, usually the thing with people is that they always appreciate the old things more than the new stuff, which also really applies considering the fact that the supposed Yokaiwatch successor, which is Holy Horror Mansion, they pretty much showed like what a trailer for it. We didn't get anything for a long time, so much so that people just straight out forgot about it. Like, let me remind you that this was the same game series that they didn't even show anything for. It proceeded to leave it for like months on end, and even then, no one was even talking about it because again, everyone was pretty much lamenting about the fact that Yokai Watch was no longer around. And say what you wanted about White Gakuen and Shadow Side, at least those two sub-series, they were like pretty much part of the same brand. Granted, one was more grittier, and the other was more like attempt to be like childlike, but also like way too childish. Again, the theory of White Gakuen is that White Gakuen is pretty much its own beast. But again, it's like childish, but childish in a way that is like mostly appeals to like really young kids with the type of humor in that show. While Shadow Star was more for a more older target demographic, but at least they fit under the umbrella of Yokai Watch. Here, you pretty much announce a new franchise that people are supposed to like accept that, hey guys, we know you have this franchise, but we're introducing this new franchise that we hope that you're gonna love. Like you just don't do that. Like imagine if one day they outright said that, hey guys, imagine if one day, God forbid this doesn't happen, but imagine if one day Game Freak just came out and announced that, hey guys, we're just replacing Pokemon and we're just gonna like give you a new franchise. Like I don't think people are just gonna take that well at all. And honestly, that feels what they did. This whole thing feels so tone deaf, and that's what really the most disappointing part of it is. However, so much so that they even tried to like introduce a new they also Hino also introduced this new franchise supposedly that is just another Punicom, and it looks cute. Again, it looks similar to a certain other cute franchise that I've seen on Twitter, but I don't exactly know the name. But I believe it's called Puffings. Yeah, like Hino actually surprised me with how he revealed it. Like there was a game, and apparently there was supposed to be a series on it. L Games, a friend of mine who's also not a yokaiwatch creator, told me about it, and like he even told me when we were discussing that time that he they just straight up introduced this with no fanfare. Like I don't even think that anyone was even talking about it because again, we already lost so much to the point where I don't even think that people are even gonna like talk about the supposed new franchise. Like again, no one in the Western fandom was even bringing up the fact that the franchise was pretty much introduced because again, everyone was pretty much focused on whatever was current at the time. So like Inazuma stuff like that. However, one thing that I do want to say about all of this is that again, I understand that Yokai Watch fans are like getting hurt, especially after what went down because again, the day before the vision, like no one was actually hopeful. Like I even talked to my friends in the Discord server and said that, wow, no one's actually genuinely excited this time. And like people came out and said that yeah, because we've been through enough shit. Because like it's already bad enough that we've been ridiculed so many times through Nintendo Directs and we always had to wear the crown face like, oh my god guys, we're gonna get something this direct, we're gonna get something this Switch 2 direct. And like other Switch directs came from train from 2017 to 2025 and we never got anything for Yokai Watch, especially in the West. So it's like I guess people just sort of just came and eventually accepted the fact that we're pretty much not getting anything. So the vision just came and went, and people who even had their expectations high were pretty much still disappointed. So it's like, what were we even doing? But still, one thing I do want to talk about is that I know not many people are kind of mad, especially about like your college not really getting into as usual. But one thing I do want to also bring up is the fact that again, this thing is more so powerful because again, it's not only the Yokai community who's only going through this. Again, other fans are pretty much going through as well. Like I was pretty much excited for like the new Inazuma game, the new Layton game because it generally looked interesting. Because again, I've been like interested in like the Layton series for a while now. I picked up Curious Village and I did like it. So like the fact that I was interested for something and like I couldn't even the fact that I was interested for something I couldn't even like see the same way again after supposedly what they did with you know as a supposedly what they did with the AI generation stuff. I don't know what to really say about it anymore, but it's really disappointing. But yeah, I just wanted to say that this is just more than obviously Yokai Watch. Like this is pretty much affecting every current fandom as well. And I'm pretty sure many people are also grieving and lamenting the fact that again that their favorite franchise has pretty much been nothing but just AI slop, which is kind of again understandable. And one other thing too is that I'm mostly disappointed in myself, but again I didn't really express much frustration because again I kind of saw knew that again considering that this is coming from the same guy who endorsed AI, I'm talking about obviously Akihiro, to the point where like he outright stated that people should pretty much get off his back for him using AI. Again, it's pretty much gonna be disappointing because again, there's so many artists in the college community, and for you to pretty much be resorted to this, it's pretty much just a slap in the face to all the people who worked hard on the series for the past few years, even when the series was in the struggle years. Like, sure, this franchise wasn't always in the like greatest spot, but like you could tell that people still cared about this franchise. I mean, people even still make videos about the older games to this day. So again, the support is there, but like for you just to pretty much just spit in the face of the people who like helped the series to become where it is today, despite it not being like the juggernaut not as most was, it's just straight up disappointing. Again, I'm not. Again, I'm pretty much going over it, and about the drought of content, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm pretty much on the hot take that I think fans are pretty much contented. Fans should be again disappointed, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I know this is probably gonna sound like a hot take, but at this point in time, we have so much fan content that we could pretty much go like a few years without like any new game. Because again, I know that again, like not really like the best thing to say because again, we haven't had content in a while, but like there's so much stuff you can pretty much do of the games alone. Like there's still people who are like revisiting the older games to this day and still finding something new. Because again, the theory is that about like gaming is that people usually think that you always have to like find something always new to do, especially with the new games. But like one thing about games is that you can pretty much go back to the older stuff and find stuff that you never experienced on your first playthrough. And this series is all about that, which is something that I really do appreciate. Especially now that I pretty much going back to the older games as a spec and finding out stuff that I never really did on my first playthrough is really amazing. In fact, that was pretty much the inspiration for my cat cradle video, which again is the pretty much the first thing you could pretty much find on my YouTube. Again, that video was pretty much inspired after I saw Games of Real Struggle with Cat Cradle with like the usual Shogun and barely Sonata combo that Adela told people that people should use, and like I found out that you can pretty much like solo cat cribbler, like you don't even need any air strengths. Again, that was pretty much the intentional part of the video. So it's like there's so much stuff you can pretty much do with the games that you pretty much have currently for like content. But again, it's just like people are always wanting something new, and that's pretty much the problem as it is now. Again, I'm not really saying that again it's not bad to want anything new, but like I feel like at the same time too, people should like revisit the older stuff and see what they could get out of it. But other than that, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say. So overall, the vision, yeah, this was pretty much weak. Again, I'm not really surprised considering that. To be honest with you, a lot of anniversaries for games this year has been pretty disappointing, especially the ones that like many people are fans of, like Sonic, Taiko no Tatsunyan, Puyo Puyo, Neptunia. These games are games that had their franchise anniversaries this year, and I'm going to be honest with you. Most of them have been nothing but this. Again, it's already bad enough that some franchises have pretty much been like thrown to hell and they pretty much receive shit for their anniversaries. Like Sonic and Puyo Puyo, they receive practically nothing for their anniversaries, and supposedly this year is their anniversary year. So it's like, again, I'm not really surprising, but when you consider the fact that, again, like the 10th anniversary of yokaiwatch, they didn't even do anything. It's like, yeah, at this point, I wouldn't expect anything anymore. So at this point, yeah, that's everything I pretty much have to say. So yeah, my final thoughts on the vision. It was fun. Again, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. At least there was one thing I was like generally excited for. But honestly, at this point, I'm just gonna keep my expectations low for a new future level 5 stuff. So other than that, that's pretty much it. Again, I do want to apologize for this video taking forever to make, but yeah, I hope you guys appreciate what I have to say, and thank you guys so much for waiting this out. Again, I know things have been kind of rough on my end, but I hope that the next time I have to talk about anything again, I deliver it like ASAP and not wait 4 weeks on them. When the pot is still stirring, I can pretty much make a video on them. So yeah. I'll see you guys next time when I probably have something to talk about. And if I'm probably gonna return to Yoka Watch it's probably definitely going to be busters. However, I do plan on making a certain yokaiwatch video after I make a Sunday announcement, but you're gonna have to find out that for later. So yeah. Until then, this is Killer. You're me. Thank you guys so much for hearing me out. Have a pleasant morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace.